tradition, sportsmanship, excellence. These three pillars have long been associated with Appalachian State athletics. As the 102nd chapter of the school's storied athletic past comes to a close, we reflect upon the games, the faces, and the accomplishments that demonstrate the true sense of Appalachian athletic excellence. The year was 1903. Milk cost 5 cents a quart, and the Tweetsie Railroad was still in its infancy, serving as the main method of transportation between the North Carolina hills and the rest of the world. Tucked into the Watauga Democrat on April 12th of that year was the first trace of collegiate athletics in the high country. The Nines of Watauga Academy took on the champion players of Willowdale on the previous Saturday, April 7th, the paper stated. Our boys carried off the laurels quite nicely, the blurb read, as the two teams battled on a diamond located near Vilas. And so history reports that the first ever athletic contest at what would become Appalachian State University some 64 years later went down in the books as a victory. There have been many more wins to follow over the past 102 years. The 1937 football team accounted for 8 of them, all without giving up a single point. Kid Brewer's team outscored their opponents 206-0 in the regular season, a tally that would bring out the highest amount of publicity by today's standards. Through the years, there have been many notable victories by Appalachian teams. In March of 1990, the women's basketball squad collected the first NCAA tournament berth by a female team on campus with a win over Furman in the Southern Conference Tournament Finals. In 1978, the powerful legs of Thompson Usean and Keith Lane led the Mountaineers to a 9-3 win over George Washington in NCAA tournament play. Usean scored 7 goals on that day, which still stands as one of the top single-game performances in NCAA tournament history. Sometimes those notable victories came when least expected. In 1973, the Appalachian baseball team knocked off 4th-ranked South Alabama and ACC power NC State in the NCAA District 3 playoffs. Both games were taken on bases-loaded walks to Jim Blankenship and Jack Tompkins, who both had performed limited duties offensively throughout the season. And speaking of unexpected,
Xavier puts it out, pass picked off. Oh, here goes John Jeffries. Lateral to Derek Black. He's got to block somebody with it. Derek Black's going to go all the way. Derek Black's going to go. He's going to go. He's going to go all the way. Touchdown ASU. Touchdown Appalachian State. Oh, my goodness.
That will go down in history.
This dramatic ending to the 2002 chapter of the Appalachian-Furman Gridiron rivalry earned national acclaim as college football's top play of the year by several national broadcast outlets. Appalachian athletes excelled individually as well. Nina Faust won 2 state titles in AIAW collegiate golf competition, participating in the national tournament on 4 occasions in the late 1970s. Mary Jane Harrelson ran her way to national titles in the 1500 meters in 1999 and again in 2001, while another track great, Melissa Morrison, won her first of 2 Olympic silver medals in the 100-meter hurdles at the 2000 Games in Sydney. Appalachian athletics would change with the times of the surrounding world. In 1968, Clayton Deskins became the first African-American athlete to suit up for the Mountaineers. He quickly worked his name into the record books for his performance on the football field, as Deskins still holds the career record for most kickoff return yards. At the same time, the modern-day era of women's athletics was born, as Appalachian created a field hockey team in time for the 1968 season. Over the next decade and a half, women's basketball, volleyball, and track and field would be added to the list of competitive sports, and over the past 10 years, women's soccer and softball have been tacked onto the school's already impressive athletic roster. In the early 1970s, Mountaineer athletics took a step forward by shedding the NAIA ranks for NCAA Division I status. Appalachian found a home in the Southern Conference, a league they have dominated like no other. Since joining the SoCon in 1971, ASU teams have won 96 league championships, 16 more than second-place Furman, while winning at least 1 team title in 15 of the 19 sponsored sports in which Appalachian has participated. During this time of dominance, coaches and players are synonymous with their team's championship laurels. Bob Light and Keith Richardson's names stick with the title runs of the men's tennis team during the mid-1970s. Tony Wyatt and Tracy Blankenship Smith stand side by side in the minds of many when thinking of the building blocks of the volleyball program. Bobby Cremins and Darryl Robinson helped put Appalachian men's basketball on the national stage, leading the program to its first NCAA bid in 1979. You've witnessed legendary coaches such as John Weaver, Vaughn Christian, and Linda Robinson coach the amazing talents like LaMonda Miller, Emmanuel Adogo, and Beth Laney Queen. Coaches such as Paul Mance and Jerry Moore, two men who are both the winningest coaches in their sport as well as in Southern Conference history, help exemplify the drive and determination that sits at the core of a true Mountaineer. Over the past 100 years, Appalachian Athletics has worn the hearts of its players and most ardent supporters. You rode the back of John Settle as he rushed his team to their first 1AA playoff berth in 1986. You witnessed Broomkirk Gym give way to one of the most innovative arenas of its time. You shed a tear at the opening of the Holmes Convocation Center as the celebration of a new era for Appalachian basketball meant also saying goodbye to the last Mountaineer to score in Varsity Gym's 32-year history. You've seen gritty competitors duke it out next to Crowd Creek. You've seen Conrad change to Kid Brewer. You've been to both Red Lackey Fields. Later this year, you'll help usher in the dawning of a new era for the men's and women's soccer programs as ASU Soccer Stadium and its natural grass field make their debut off State Farm Road. The faces of the past are now the leaders of today. The student athletes of present times will help lead Appalachian State on the playing fields and in the classrooms as the university embarks upon a new day. Today, we welcome you back and honor your accomplishments as we celebrate Appalachian's athletic excellence.